We'll start the session. Some people will still join a bit, but I think let's start. We've got a packed session this afternoon. I'm Dewel Joubert. I'm the course coordinator on the Gauteng board course, and I'll also be the person behind the buttons, making sure that the webinar goes all well. But luckily, people also have my back if something goes wrong. So just a few practicalities. So please take note that we are also recording the session. So, and that that's when I must start recording. So we're recording the session as well for people who missed that, or you maybe need to leave a little bit earlier. So we are recording the session. So that's important. And then please take note that there's a Q&A function. So you can also ask questions. And what we'll do is throughout the session, if you've got questions, you can ask those. But I think also there are sections, and it might make a little bit sense that after a certain section that you wait to ask your question then. But I mean, it's all about also asking questions, so we'll deal with that. And then I think just before we start, we just want to do a poll question with you guys and just check a little bit an interesting information to start the day with. So the question is, what are the key things you've learned during 2020? So what are the key things you've learned during 2020? And it's multiple choice, so you can choose more than one option. So what have this year taught you, this strange year that we went through? So you can choose more than one option, and please note that it's anonymous, so no one knows what you will be voting. It's just for us to see a little bit what have we learned during this interesting year that I think we're all ready to get over with. Right, so 50% of the votes are in. We'll just give it a few more seconds for people to finish their voting. And then I'm going to give over to Prof. Ben Marks, which is the HOD at the Department of Accountancy at UJ. But I'll give over to him just after we're done with this for the formal welcome. Right, so votes are still coming in. Yeah, so people who've joined us maybe a little bit later, thank you so much for joining. So the purpose of this session is all that we can share what our plans are for the Gauteng board course offering for the April ITC, and that you can meet the team and we can share our strategy. So although in a nutshell we're going for online, it's going to be interactive, and we're planning all interactive webinars, and we'll share a little bit more information with you. But then it's also an opportunity to share some guidance and some thoughts on your preparation until we start with the board course. I'm going to stop the voting there and share the results. So if we look at that results, the clear winner, and I must say, I thought that's why intuitively that was the first option, is that I am adaptable and that we are agile. I think that's mainly the biggest thing I think we've realized this year, that we're more adaptable than we think. But there's some interesting stuff in there that I need to be disciplined. And that's an important point, what we want to do also with the board course next year, which is a full online course. And we believe with online webinars and interactive webinars, that's going to assist you to be disciplined. A few other things, I need to ask for help where I need it. Of course, there we are all available to assist you then throughout until you write. The value of motivation, a big role of a board course is to keep you disciplined and motivated. So I think lots of things we've learned there. With that context, over to Prof. Ben for the formal welcome. Thank you so much, Prof. Ben. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joubert, and good welcome to each and every one of the Gauteng board course ITC passes of April 2021. Thanks for sharing the screen with my fellow colleagues. It's an absolute privilege, absolute honor. And I think it might be just right before we just jump into it, just introduce You've got Mr. Dewald Joubert and Jan van Griffioen on top. They're the financial management gurus in South Africa. They're the top of the top. And they will be, we will talk about integration tonight as well, and not looking at things in silo, but they're the financial management experts, and they will take you for financial management. And then I think as we talk on, I think it's Prof. Ahmed that will talk about that integration, Mr. Joubert, where we will do some things which you have never seen at your universities, but which you will see in the ITC, where we take a topic and we integrate it in a session. But they're your financial management experts, so thank you. It's an honor sharing it with you. We've got Mr. Munira Sande, and here at the bottom is Michelle van Heerden, who are the tax experts. And I think you would all have heard about him. You all would know them very, very well. So that's the tax lecturers. And then you've got Ms. Karabu Sehia, and some of you might still know Karabu as Ms. Karabu Kukana, but she got married. She's got a beautiful baby daughter. We're so glad she's back with us. She was on a bit on maternity leave at one stage. And with her, we've got Prof. Ahmed there in the middle of the two fantastic ladies. You wonder, Ahmed, you're privileged to share the road there with phenomenal ladies there. So sitting there, Prof. Ahmed there, he and Ms. Sehia, Karabu and Ahmed, they're the accounting experts. I've heard about them, or wherever you have studied. And then we've got Ms. Vanessa van Dijk there at the bottom, myself. We will be taking you for auditing, but again, it's not in isolation. We will talk to you about making sure you get the marks in the specific subjects, whether it's an auditing, a budget question, a costing question, a IFRS 2 question, but we will also combine it, and we'll talk to you about it, something that you would have not maybe have done at your universities, but which will definitely be in the ITC, and we'll make sure you are well prepared for. As we would have seen, and we'll talk about it, the November ITC was written on the 17th and 18th of November, and we are extremely pleased with those papers. Psych has done a phenomenal job, but we are so excited because we think we had about, well, I think about 80% of the students who wrote the paper, wrote the ITC, did our course, and they were well prepared, and also on that integration between the subjects in something like COVID. And then I want to get to Wilma Munyenga and Nikita Sundar, two of our old students who's going to come and talk to you. They've been phenomenal. They've been lecturers, but they know the program most probably better than ourselves. They've been academic trainees this year, but they know exactly how we roll at UJ. I'm sorry, I said UJ, but how we roll at UJ and how we roll on the Gauteng board course. Because I think you would also see that all those lecturers on the screen are lecturers at the University of Johannesburg, which we are very proud of. But we're so proud of working so closely with all the lecturers at all the universities throughout the country. So that's just the screen there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor sharing the screen with you this afternoon, and each of you will talk to the candidates. But then to you out there. And I mean, there's a wide variety of, and we like to call it Gauteng board course, or at UJ, we talk about our students. But we honestly and truly believe you're going to be our students, but to talk to you out there who's going to be our students for the next 3.5 months. Some of you might have received your CTA results already. Some of you might have finished CTA and the results out. Fantastic, well done, congratulations during an extremely tough year. I mean, we've seen when the UJ results came out last week too. What was it, Mr. Griffioen? Last week, and this afternoon some more results came out. Well done. And other universities, I don't want to start naming universities where the results are already out. Well done, guys, exceptionally well. Those of you who've already written and are still waiting for your results, all of the best. We're thinking of you, we believe in you, we know, and we honestly, hopefully, and believe that it will go well. So all of the best. I know it's tough waiting for results, but all of the best of you. And then there's a number of you out there who are still due to write your CTA. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joubert said it in the beginning, and I think agility and all those things, but I want to put something on top of that. You are tough. You know, you are mentally tough, you are agile, you're adaptable, you all those things. You're super. You've got the brains. There's no way that you can do this if you do not have the brain. You are tough. You're adaptable. Go and nail it. Take this last couple of weeks that you need to have before you write your exams and just study hard and apply it. And something we'll constantly talk to you tonight about is preparing, studying cleverly, because there's a difference between just studying hard and studying smart. And we're going to focus on that constantly. Study hard, study smart, study intelligently. Focus on your exam techniques. Make sure you're well prepared. And then, sorry, Karaba, but I always steal a bit of your magic here. So already start seeing about how you're going to remove that aspiring in front of CA. You know, because you might be calling yourself aspiring CAs now. But coming April, when you're doing our course, you're not going to write the ITC in April after you've done our course. You're going to pass the ITC. And that's the mental attitude that you should have. And that's our focus. So I just want to say to all of you, and there's a spectrum of you, out there, if you have your results, well done. Go and have a nice break. If you're writing supplementary exams, or not supplementary exams, if you're still writing examinations or writing supplementary exams, doesn't matter. Just be tough, work hard, believe in yourself. You are so tough. I mean, just getting here is phenomenal. I mean, you survived the toughest year in your life. This has most, and I'm not ashamed to say, this has been the toughest year in my whole life. And I think everybody on the screen would have said the same to you. Because we had to work online, we had to work differently, we had to work in a different environment, and we had to be mentally strong, and we had to be, but you've done all those sort of things. So believe in yourself and be strong, and don't just go and study to write the ITC, go and write to pass the ITC. So that's just sort of in broad, but welcome to the Gauteng board course, where we honestly, and I mean, it might sound cheesy, but this is how we roll. Each and every one of you is important. You know, I think, not sure who will say this, but we give you our cell numbers. And I mean, Vilma and Nikita can testify to that. They've now part of the team, but they've been. We give you our cell numbers. You know, we know you use it responsibly. Yeah, if you want to call somebody at 1 o'clock at night to find out if, I mean, maybe call Prof. Ahmed there, but he's still awake or something, but the rest of us might be sleeping. But guys, if you've got a problem, we dare to sort it. We dare to walk the talk with you. But, you know, talk is cheap. If you want to test this, go and talk to the people who's done the course before you. Go and ask the students at UJ how we roll. And we do good in our promises. Now, just something on that. We are so proud of the students who wrote the ITC in November this year. You know, they were due to write in June, and Desmondster, Sunday on the screen, he ran the Gauteng board course for the June ITC together with myself and the whole team. We've been there involved, and the Tuka students. And you know, we started, and the exam would have been in June. And then the exam would have been in September. And then the exam was in September. But we constantly kept the program going. We had this sorry, I'm stealing the thunder here of my colleagues on the screen, but we had regular sessions. We would take one topic. We would have taken COVID, and we would have dealt with it from a governance perspective, an ethical perspective, a finance perspective, an accounting perspective, a going concern. And what came up in the ITC in November? There's a 100-mark integrated paper just like that. So I mean, and we're going to build that into the program. So, and our students, I mean, it's not bragging, it's not anything, but a feedback. And Munir, you can also talk to and testify to that, because we did course evaluations. The students said, we were there to support you all the way. And thanks for that. So we are offering that to you for a Gauteng board course for April next year. It's really important. It's not just having you on the course. We love what we do. And I can just testify. They all sit on the head of the department. We're a team that's running the department. But, you know, if I can say it, we've got the best lecturers on the screen in the whole wide world. And I mean, I'm so proud of them, I can say it. So they know we're very modest people, but each and every one of them is the best of the best in the world, not just in South Africa. And then if you combine that collectively, it's a phenomenal team. And we are welcoming you into this family run through it. So guys, we've got a lot of focus and everybody will talk to you. I'm going to stop talking. It's so nice talking, so I'm going to stop talking that the other people get a chance. But you know, things that we drive so critical is integrated thinking, innovation. But those sort of things that will come through in the ITC, critical thinking, core. Mr. Hubert is heading us and he drives our teaching and learning. It's part of the core of what you do. Teaching, critical thinking comes to the fore. IT and IT innovation, how that comes through, and big data and data analytics, and Vanessa will talk to you about it. There will definitely be questions on auditing on it, and the accounting and the tax and the ethics and all those things. How we bring that critical thinking and that integration to the fore. We've done some innovative things which we're going to run online for you, etc., to constantly make sure you can work from anywhere you want, wherever you want, etc. And just lastly, you know, there's a difference between bright and intelligent and having all the knowledge and doing well in the examination. It sounds funny what I'm saying, but I think you know that. And what is that difference now? It's exam technique. It's polishing, revising, etc. And then making sure you can read the paper absolutely to the optimal in the time that you have to read that paper, to analyze it, to know what to go, and to write the exam within that 2.5 hours, putting the right information on paper that will score you the marks. And that's also core to what we are about in this course. So thank you, Dewald. Thank you very much. That is me. I'm going to hand over back to you. Ladies and gentlemen out there, we cannot wait to have you on the program. Please tell your friends who are not here to come and join with you. I can assure you, you will make the right decision and we will walk this journey with you. Thank you, Dewald. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Ben. So I just want to quickly share my screen. So like what we say, if my colleagues can just help me to make sure my screen is shared, is it all fine? Okay, so one of the phrases of this year, can you see my screen, or you unmute, you muted. So first of all, I want to run through this quickly because it's important stuff to share, but I also don't want to waste too much time because we want to get to where every subject speak to their specific strategy for the board course and get more specific what we're going to do. But we are very excited, and Prof. Ben spoke about it, but I think what's important is that we're taking the practices of what we've learned as a collective through CTA this year online, but also more importantly, the June ITC that was written a few weeks ago, the course that we run there and what we've learned from that. And we're bringing in all those best practices. So it's not our choice to have an online program necessarily, but we want to have an online program that is interactive, that focuses on critical thinking and all of these things through webinars. So we'll tell you a little bit more about that. The first thing that I just want to speak to, Murphy's Law, there it goes. Sorry, it was just hanging there. Okay, so the first thing, just quickly on the program. So the program starts officially on the 11th of January 2021. So we'll speak more specifically to that, but if you've gotten your results already, we think it is crucial that you take this December and rest. It will of course be different if you're going to write your exams in Jan or a supplementary, but for people who've received results already, the idea is that we only start in the beginning of January. Then the course gets more momentum in February and March. So we've got more lectures and our online webinars, so active, interactive classes, although they're also recorded if you can't make it, but the idea is to get the value from the interaction. Those will only be in February and March. So then April, of course, you can still watch videos, you can still watch video webinars, but we don't have anything planned. So what we then focus on is the support role, although that's throughout. So of course, our support and will be there until you write the ITC, but we don't have any formal lectures planned for April. Then also what I think is very important is that it's got a flexible start. So although we start January, it's a slower start. So we want people to start working on the program. But if you are preparing for your exam in January or the supplementary, you will start with the program once you're done with your results or done with the examination. and you will then start and just catch up. Now the catch up will be very practical and you will be able to do that. And I'll give you a little bit more detail. Let's say you're done with the examination, but you are waiting results and you want to start working on the program. You can also contact us and we'll provide more information regarding that. But we'll basically, you need to register. We'll give you access to our platform. You can watch the videos, etc. We will just not send you material. So we will wait until you get your results and only then we'll send you material. And that is a way to make sure that you start as soon as possible, but we don't want there to be any cost implication. So that's just on the program to understand that a little bit better. Then a little bit bigger picture. Sorry, this thing is jumping. I just want to make sure I don't skip things. So just bigger picture, and each subject will give you more guidance. But ultimately, what we try and do in the board course, it's all about revision, because you've done the CTA, and when you get to us, you've passed your CTA. But we want to revise principle, but we also want to give you guidance on how to tackle this. What should you do from, call it January, until you write the ITC? But then there's also more guidance specific in each program, and that guidance will mean also where to focus, what is important, how to do certain things, because not everything, for example, that's done at varsity might be in the psycho syllabus, etc. So we give you there more guidance. But then more importantly is also continuous support. So that without this journey, you are there to seek guidance if you want more guidance, or any additional assistance you want, we will provide that during that time. Right, then the resources, I want to quickly speak to that. So the resources, I'm really struggling with my laptop that's hanging. Let's just check. Okay, let me go one back. Okay, right, now it might jump even further, but the resources, apologies for that. So let's speak to that. Very important, you get 2 printed files. So the files are quite thick and there's sufficient and excellent material. So you can speak to people who've done the board course before. We're very well known for the quality of our material. And we made a call and said, well, we are not going to make that electronically only available. We're going to make it printed versions available, that you have that to your disposal. So included in our fee is that we also courier that to the closest posting. So when you register, you're going to, the system, it's quite easy to identify the closest postnet, and then we courier that to there. Then on MyPal, which is our online learning community, so what's available there? So there's additional resources. So even though we have the 2 files, we also will load the additional questions. Sometimes students struggle with a certain concept and we pick that up. We will then load a video that will explain the concept. So all sort of concept videos, additional material, etc. we'll also upload to MyPal. Then on MyPal, there's questions, blogs for each subject. That's where you ask your questions on specific questions, etc. So where you can get feedback. Then all the video lectures are there. So we pre-record lectures, but then we also complement that with live webinars within the subject, but then also overall, and we'll speak to those a little bit more. So then the webinars is also then something that you can watch live, and that's the idea, but we will also record that and upload after that session if you couldn't make that. Then also what's important from a data point of view is that when you watch our videos, you can click on the setting buttons and you can choose what is the quality. There's a whole range of quality that you can choose from. Of course, the lower the quality, the less data it uses. So you can choose just the level of data that you can still easily follow, read the slides, etc. And then that way, it's also much less data intensive. Then, of course, there's also a mock examination that we are planning for early April, and then also continuous assessments or mock examinations throughout the program. And all of those things will be uploaded onto MyPal, and that's part of the resources. Then just the next slide, just to get a little bit more specific. So let's just tell me and my slides. Okay, there, just to get specific for each subject and the video classes and webinars. So for each subject, we've got what we call weekly videos, and that spans over a 6-week period per subject, but we've spread them over the time of the board course. So that equates to roughly 7 hours per subject, but it might be 7 to 8 hours. Then each subject will have their own interactive webinars. So there are 3 of those, and the subjects will speak more to those. And then, of course, other videos. So if accounting, for example, realize there's something they want to upload, or people struggle with high-low, there's a short video, we upload that. So that would be other resources or concept videos that you can watch, but they are not part of the formal program, if that makes sense. Then overall, what we are very excited about is that we have overall 5 webinars. We call it integrated webinars, but in there we do different things, but the main thing we want to develop is integration, and Ahmed will speak to that as well. But that is typically where we feel there are skills we want to develop that's important for the ITC, which is not necessarily technical specific or specific to a specific subject. So it's more approach to an integrated question, to integrated thinking, etc. And then we make use of those webinars. Then just on the next slide, the last thing that I just want to quickly run through is, when do you register? Now you can register so long, because when you register, we ask you, are you awaiting results, etc. So you can register and cancel at any point if you wish to do so. And the only thing is you cannot take material. And if you deregister, then there's a fee applicable. All those details are on the website. But if you want to register, no, it's done, then we're going to start communicating with you. That you get your results, etc. We plan on printing material, all of those things. So if you wait for results, you can wait before you register, but you can also register. When will files be delivered? So first of all, we only deliver files once we've received your results. And the reason for that is that none of the firms will pay for the board course or any fee if you haven't passed your CTA. So for that reason, we don't send any material before then. But if you, let's say, on the course and waiting for results, then we'll just wait until you get results. Then for any admin related queries, so I need an invoice for the firm or anything similar, Rina van Rensburg is then the head of our admin office. So there's an email address, but it's also on our website, so you don't need to take it down. There's an email address and a cell phone number, so you can chat with her at any stage. If there's anything that's coordination related, so not an invoice, but you want to understand, when is this webinar happening, etc. So a few more coordination related matters, you can then email me, and there's my cell phone number as well. So that's from an admin point of view. And then just on the last slide, just something I wanted to mention is that on our website, we have a notice board as well. So if you go to our website, the main page, there's a notice board. So on there, for example, this session was advertised. There's a brochure you can download, and just watch that space for certain announcement as well. And then any information you need, you can go to the website, but you can also download a brochure from the website that's got all the information. But we are trying to share some more of the stuff that you cannot say in words in this session. So that's me. Before we go to Ahmed, let me just stop sharing here. I just want to run a poll quickly as an introduction to Ahmed's discussion. So let me launch that poll. So the question is, how many integrated papers do you think you will likely get in the ITC? So remember, the ITC will consist of 4 sessions of 100 marks each. So how many of those do you think will be an integrated paper, i.e. one scenario, but it tests more than one discipline? Or if it's not integrated, then we get 2 scenarios, for example, or 2 different questions in that 100 marks. So how many integrated papers do you think you will likely get in the ITC? So the votes are coming in nicely, 60% of the votes. Right, people are coming in quickly now. Right. 77% of the votes, there, it's coming in quickly now. I'm going to end the polling there. and I'm going to share the results, and then over to Prof. Ahmed to speak to us a little bit what our plans are with integration and the importance. Over to you, Prof. Ahmed, and then you can stop share the results when you think you want to remove it. Thanks, Ahmed.
Thanks, Dewald. Good afternoon to the fellow panelists that are on screen. Good afternoon to the candidates. It's really nice to connect with you today. Good afternoon, Vilma. Good afternoon, Nikita, as well. It's really great to see the two of you on screen. Dewald, keep your eye on the Q&A. This is how we roll. This is an interactive session. So, guys, you're more than welcome to ask any questions that you have. Just pop them into the Q&A as well. And we're keeping an eye on that. There's some really good questions that have come through. And that's how it's going to work in the webinar sessions as well. My colleagues will speak to the webinar sessions as well. But we'll have polls, we'll have the Q&As as well. This is what we've been doing in the CTA stuff during the year. This is what we've been doing on APT as well. If you know any APT friends, speak to them. They'll tell you that it works really well. We have lots of fun. We've been learning together. We've been sharing. So guys, yeah, I see a couple of questions coming through in the Q&A function as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. Then on the poll question, maybe just to debrief on that, especially for the recording. So you'll wonder why we repeat some of these questions as well, because we need to capture it in the recording. So the question was, how many integrated papers do you think you will likely get in the ITC? And 0% of our candidates today said 0. So that's a good thing. At least all of you know that there's going to be integration. Then we had 9 candidates that said 1 of the papers will be integrated. We had 86 candidates saying 2 of the papers will be integrated, 78 candidates saying 3 of the papers will be integrated, and then by far, 380, that's 70% of our attendees today that said 4 of the papers will be integrated. Okay, so I wonder what would have happened if we had a 5 and a 6 and a 7 there at the bottom, if that would have continued down at the bottom. Guys, remember, there are 4 papers in the ITC, so that's the number of the papers. And I'm going to talk to you about the integration. And for that, I'm going to share some slides from my side. And I just want confirmation from my colleagues that they can see the slides. If you can give me the thumbs up, please. Awesome. Thanks, Vilma. I see you there. Fantastic. Lots of smiles from Vilma. Energy. Awesome. Yes. Okay. So, guys, I'm talking to you about integration. And for this, basically, I'm just going to give you a bit of background. And we were in a meeting as well this morning with SAICA, where I heard once again that integration is cited as one of the reasons for the poor performance in the ITC. So, integration under a time constraint in an exam sitting requirement is something that takes time to get used to, especially if you have written standalone disciplines and you haven't written an integrated paper. It's something that requires practice and something that requires time. So the purpose of the ITC, and I heard it even last week in another meeting last Thursday in a nice fancy meeting at SAICA with some of the clever people there, and it was an education meeting, and I heard it. They say the purpose of the ITC is to test the integrated application of technical competence, not only to test application of technical competence, but your integrated application. And integration is defined within the subject. So if I take IFRS and group statements, those are integrated. So where, for example, you have studied those as 2 different modules, and you've studied group statement as a module and IFRS as a module, it gets tested in an integrated way, where the IFRS stuff is in the group statement issues. And I'll give you a classic example. January 2020 had a correction of the prior period error in paper 1. I see Nikita and Vilma starting to smile here because it's bringing back memories. And part B of that same required had associate accounting. So within the subject, you've got the integration of IFRS and group statements. Or if I look at the November 2020 paper, I mean, you guys haven't, it's been written, we're busy commenting on that, and academics are involved, etc. But paper 3, question 1, ask your friends. They'll tell you that deferred tax was integrated between accounting and the tax implication. So again, within the subject and then across the subject. And that's the NB1 here that I've illuminated or I've highlighted there. So that's the integration. And then here comes another important point. Ethics is not only in the auditing questions. Ethics is in the tax question, paper 3, question 1 of the November 2020 ITC. There's ethics in the tax accounting question. There's been ethics in the math and the management decision making and costing questions. So it's not only in the auditing question. So this tells you that integration is a big deal in the ITC. This slide shows you the number of papers that have been integrated. So the answer to the poll question that we had in the beginning, guys, this is what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years. Working backwards, it's been 3 of the 4 papers that have been integrated. And this has been one scenario with multiple competency areas. Okay, so you all are actually, those of you that said 4 out of the 4, you're actually very right. Because where it hasn't been 3 of the 4, in those other papers, the other paper, it's been integrated within the subject in that paper. So planning being linked with the audit reporting, accounting, again, the example I use, deferred tax and the individual assets. So that integration is taking place. So overall, we're talking about integration. It's a big deal at an overall level. And then have a look at this number of papers with ethics. 2 of the 4 papers with ethics, 3 of the 4 papers, and these were not auditing questions, only auditing questions. The ethics was included in other disciplines as well. So guys, that's very, very important. And then when we're talking about integration, this one at the bottom, many of the integrated papers, okay, have more than 2 competency areas. So in my examples, I said accounting and tax, but it's actually been accounting, tax, and strategy and risk management. So we're starting to see more than 2 competency areas. As the mark teams get better and they can mark multidisciplinary scenarios, we're starting to see some scenarios that almost test all 4 disciplines. Part A, accounting, part B, tax, part C, financial management, part D, auditing, part E, ethics. So we're seeing more than that. Can you see how big of a deal this is? Okay, so what are we talking about? And what's the kind of exciting things that we have in plan? Dewald spoke about those 5 webinars that are dedicated to integration. And I want you to give you a taste of what's the kind of stuff that's going to take place in those 5 webinars. So check this out. Take a simple cell phone contract, okay? iPhone 11. Some of you are probably wondering, where's the iPhone 12? Doesn't matter, 11, 12, $6.99 per month. Look at this very carefully. My tax colleagues will be jumping with excitement. It says VAT inclusive, okay? And they'll have those triggers, VAT vendor and all those sort of things. Brilliant. It's a 24-month contract subject to a credit check. My finance colleagues will be smiling here. They'll be like, this is a financing contract, 24 months. Why 24 months? Why not 36 months? My accounting colleagues will be smiling here. All my Indian friends will be smiling. Nothing comes for free, okay? 120 free minutes. I see Q&A comments are coming through. The guys are smiling. Absolutely. Okay, guys, interact with us. 300 free SMSs, 300 free megs of data, and a 12 months warranty. One scenario. And Vilma and Nikita, I think you guys can see where this is going. This is the beauty of thinking in an integrated manner. Okay, look at the opportunities to examine. The accounting and external reporting is the revenue recognition. Distinct jumps to mind. Okay, so we have a session where we're going to illuminate all these different aspects from the different experts in the different discipline areas. Look at the strategy, risk management, and governance. What are the business risks in this area? I mean, there's only X number of cell phone contracts that you can sell before you reach a saturation point. Okay, the business risk that comes through in that. Then what about the audit and the assurance, the risk of material misstatement and the substantive procedures? Those can easily come in. The tax, my tax colleagues, Munira and Michelle, are jumping up and down. We want to show you the VAT and the income tax implications. Okay, awesome, awesome. And Dewald and Yalfin want to show you, take you through the thinking, show you their thinking. Why is it a 24-month contract and not a 36-month contract? I don't know how many of you have seen this, but Vodacom, MTN have extended your typical 24-month contracts now to a 36-month contract in order to lower the payments. Guys, time value of money. Wow. Okay. And then lastly, the ethics. So many ethical things can come through from this. So one scenario, we are excited. We are energized. We want to take you through these different type of problems. So this is a taste of what can come. And this example I'm using, the accounting implications are sitting already in the accounting videos. There's a question called Tell Me More. It's an ITC question. I think it was last year, January 2019, that did something very similar. So we're not making this up. This is real stuff that we're doing with you. Okay. So integration is your ability to respond to the different competency areas from one scenario. It can also be your ability to journalize the accounting and tax in the same entries. Okay? Accounting for the VAT output, debit bank, credit revenue, credit VAT output, the tax in the same entries. So what do we have in mind? 5 integrated live webinars, and we've given you a taste of that. One scenario discussed from different perspectives. That's just one of the ideas that we have, as the example I did. And therein, to bring in the exam technique to handle a large volume of information from all these different perspectives. I mean, that's the thing. It requires you to shift your way of thinking to deal with that. So we have to practice that. That's the best way. Practice makes perfect. So there's also integrated questions Dewald spoke about, and the simulator, the mock examinations that includes the integration. Guys, you need to get excited for this. The integration is exciting. It's challenging, but it's exciting. It's fun. All right. I have a heading here, professional skepticism, just my last thing, and Prof. Ben touched on integrated thinking and critical thinking. And I want to speak about professional skepticism. Why are we talking about this? Guys, it is such an important concept. The ability here, what is it? An aptitude that includes a questioning mind, being alert to conditions that may indicate possible misstatement due to error and fraud, and a critical assessment, asking the why question every time. And now there's this misinformation that we think this only happens in auditing. The critical thinking and the professional skepticism will happen in accounting. Critically evaluate the journal entries that have been processed. How well are you going to do in those questions? We are here with you to take you through those type of questions. Okay. Why is it important? If you're aware of all these different type of scandals or whatever terms you want to use it, the Wirecard, this is the Steinhoff of Germany. Okay, go and Google this. While you're relaxing by the beach and you don't have anything to do, this is maybe stuff you can reflect on. Okay, and this stuff will open up your mind. It will make you think wider. Wirecard, PPC, restatement for the accounting errors. Tongaat, we know about the IFRS 13, the fair value issues. Steinhoff, we know about the goodwill and the business combination issues, and the list goes on. Guys, I'm getting so excited. I can almost spend a whole afternoon doing this, but I think I need to wrap it up and I need to hand over. So Dewald, I'm going to hand over back to you. Thanks so much, Dewald, for the opportunity to talk to the guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ahmed. That was brilliant. And I just want to add that we're really excited to the integrated sessions and the sessions we're going to have as a collective. But then I want to hand over to Nikita, which was one of our previous candidates last year that wrote the ITC in Jan this year. and that she just share some of her experience and give you guys some guidance, because although we the lecturers, it's always good to get advice from people who've just been through this. So over to you. Thank you so much, Nikita, for joining us.
Thanks so much, Dewald. Thanks so much for the opportunity to share a bit of what I know, a little bit of my experience. So hi, everyone. It's really great to be with you guys today. When I was asked to share a bit of advice on preparing for the ITC, on taking on the ITC, it took me back to a bit of the advice that I received when I was preparing and the advice that I gave to myself. And it was just to always be willing to learn. I think your learning never stops. And I think when you pass CTA, you think almost that, all you know is all you need to know. But you come into the board course and I promise you there are things that you learn and you're like, how did I not know this before? Prime example of that is when I attended board course, I remember sitting in an accounting session last year where Karabo was presenting leases. And I remember finishing that session and I was like, wow, I knew all of these things, but I never really understood certain things. And I think that's why the board course is such a great opportunity to really look into the deeper meaning of things. You don't get that opportunity in CTA a lot of the time because of the time pressure that you're under. And so you really have that time now to really develop a sort of understanding of several topics and techniques. And this is the opportunity for you to do that, because studying now, you're not just studying to pass CTA, which is sort of the mindset that you have when you're in CTA, but now it's bigger picture. This is your career, this is your passion. You want to understand things and get to the crux of the things that you're going to be dealing with on a daily basis. And so I think be willing to learn, because this is really an opportunity and time for you to get to understand what you're dealing with. Something else that I want to encourage you guys to do is make use of your resources. I think I might be a little bit biased here. Prof. Ben's already said it, but the academics that you guys see on your screen really are the best people that you can be, or that can be with you in walking your journey towards being successful in the ITC. They really are so passionate, you guys. They have so much of knowledge to share, and they really are so willing to share that knowledge. And so I really want to encourage you guys to make use of the resources that they give you, the encouragement that they give you, the advice that they give you. I promise you there's a reason for everything. So make use of that. I think something else that's important is to ask questions. I know I was not the type to ask questions, but I think I was a little bit shy to ask questions. Don't be shy. It's an online format now. You might feel a little bit more comfortable to use the Q&A function. Ask the questions, because I promise you, I think CTA is something that taught me that there really aren't stupid questions, because sometimes it's the little things that catch you out, and it's the little things that have the deeper meaning and the deeper understanding that you need to understand. And so take the opportunity to ask as many questions as possible, because this is now your chance to almost understand the things that you didn't really understand when you were in CTA. I think something that's going to be important now that's a little bit different is that you guys have 3 months now or approximately 3 months to prepare for ITC, which is a little bit different to what Vilma and I would have had in the past and many other ITC candidates. And a lot of people will think, what do I do with 3 months? Don't underestimate the time that you have, guys, because it's going to fly by. You don't want to get to the middle of March and think, oh my word, I only have a month to prepare, whereas I had 3 months. I think it's going to be important to understand how to juggle your time. You're going to be working, you're going to be studying at the same time, and it's going to be something that's very different to a lot of you. There's going to be a lot of different things to adapt to, but I think with a year like this, a lot of us have learned how to adapt to change, and I think it's something that you guys can really do. So make sure to structure your time effectively, be disciplined, and really determined to work as hard as possible to make it through the ITC. You guys have made it this far, and it's really something you can be so proud of. So just use the time to the best of your advantage, because you really can make it through if you are consistent in the work that you do. I think the last thing you want to do is drop everything now because you've made it through CTA and you think I can go into the ITC with the knowledge that I have. Don't do that, because you're going to put yourself at a disadvantage. Use the time that you have. 3 months seems like a long time, but when you're out there in the working world, it's going to go by so quickly, you're not even going to realize. So really just try your best to be as consistent as possible. And then I think just lastly, don't lose sight of the end goal. I think as a CTA student in your CTA year, you become so focused on just making it through CTA, which is normal and it's okay, because I think we were the same. We were so focused on making it through. And once we made it through, it's easy to just forget that there's more to it. It's not just about passing CTA. You don't just pass and it stops there. There's so much more to it. And you guys are now, maybe not everyone here because they're still waiting for results, but you guys are ITC candidates, and that's something to be so proud of. So don't lose sight of the goal, because it's really something that you can be so proud of. Just work really hard, work really smart, and just be consistent as possible and just do your best. But yeah, other than that, that's it from me. I think I'm going to pass over to Vilma now.
Hey,
Thank you
hi
so much.
everyone. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, Vilma, it's me. But over to you. I just wanted to say thank you and over to you. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
I'm so sorry, Deerbold. I should have passed back to you.
No, you shouldn't. I said we must do it that way and then I jumped in. Apologies.
Sorry.
No, that's completely fine. Oh my, like it's so hard to top that because Nikita has touched base on literally everything that I can think of. But just to add on to what Nikita has said, it's very important at this time to always think about your mental health as well. And for me, coming from a background whereby I failed my CTA the first time around, so when I went into ITC and the prep, I was like, will I really make it the first time around? And I have to say, thanks to the board course, my confidence was upped. Like these lecturers, oh my, when they gave us their cell phone numbers, sometimes you just need someone to pick at your brain to go like, you really know what you know. So don't lose focus on that. When everything fails, you have your principles at the end of the day. So you will never run out of something to write. You just need to polish up whatever it is that needs polishing. So be very brutally honest with yourself, put in the work, but also put in the rest, because no work and no play doesn't work. At the end of the day, you don't want to be a CA who's just known for working. We are humans, so you need to take care of your mental health as well. These lecturers and this team is there to support you. We have your MyPow, where you have students also putting in questions, and there is an opportunity for students to actually answer other questions. So you actually get to see how other peers think as well, and then you realize that it's not only you who has the same line of thought. So it's very important for you to take the time to do the planning for yourself and to see what it is that you need to do for yourself. But at the end of the day, you always need to remember that you need to be confident. This is a confidence game that you need at the end of the day. And I live by the life motto that says, whatever you can dream, you can begin and you can achieve. So if you want to be a CA, you need to dream that you are a CA, and you need to take the first step to achieve that. And to do that, you need to pass the ITC. So you need to put in the work to pass the ITC, and you can trust your life with those guys. And that's all I can say from my side. All the best, guys. Back to you, Devold.
Thank you so much, Vilma. Then over to accounting. So we're going to be brief on all the subjects, but all subjects just want to share what is their specific strategy and their thinking for the board course. And just to give you a bit of a taste what everyone is planning. So over to accounting. So that's not, we don't start with importance, it's alphabetically. So over to accounting.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Deerbold. Thank you so much, ladies, for that advice. That was absolutely brilliant. Thanks, Vilma, for reminding our candidates to take care of their mental health. That's so important. And Nikita, what you touched on relating to being willing to learn, I think we all get to a point where we think we've got this. And that reminder is just so important that, you know what, even if you've got this, you've got to keep on learning. So from the accounting side, the A team, the original A team, has put together a fun and interactive session for you. That's myself and Prof. Ahmed. So I'm going to start off first by just talking about our lecture material. So our lecture material is divided into three different lectures, and we've got the topics divided into these three different lectures. And what happens is within these lecture material, you'll find key summaries of the examinable standards as well as basic examples. And these are quite important to starting off your studies, because you just want to remind yourself of the basics of the principles relating to each topic before you get on to handling the big integrated stuff. So the examples in the board course material are nice and simple and easy and basic. And then we've got 6 recordings, or 6 lecture weeks that we've got planned out as per Devil's program. Those recordings are discussing technical aspects relating to the different topics. Guys, we've outlined this in our introductory module as to what topics will be discussed in which particular week. Between myself and Prof. Ahmed, we've divided it up quite nicely so you can see what topics we'll discuss in each of the different lecture recordings, and you can listen to those particular topics, especially the ones that you know you're uncomfortable with. We've done it in such a way that we're discussing technical matters so that if you want to pause and rewind and, and listen again and do the examples physically, you'll be able to follow through and do those perfectly. And then we've got 3 webinars. I'm really excited for the webinars. These are fun and interactive webinars. We're going to do some polling questions, and we've divided these into exam technique relating to your discussion question, exam technique relating to integrated assets, and exam technique in groups questions. So what we're going to do with those is obviously tackle your exam technique in the ITC and how do you go about dealing with that. And then we've got a nice question bank for you guys, integrated question bank. On the front page of our question bank, we've also outlined what topics are tested in each particular question. So then you know exactly which ones you need to go focus on, especially if you're uncomfortable with a particular topic. So that's me going by very quickly. Just to finish off, guys, I just want to say that I know it's been a really tough year. And I think it's okay at this point if we take a break. So don't be hard on yourself and feel like, December, you've got to get cracking. If you've passed your CTA, you've got your results, I think it's a good time to take a break and start tackling things in January. I think that's the beauty of writing the ITC in April. If you had to write the ITC in January after the year that we've had, yes, like it. So I think it's nice that we get, you get a break. Just take the time off and rest. Ahmed, do you want to add anything to the 8 teams approach?
No, Karabo, I think brilliantly said. I mean, something that me and Karabo have been talking about so much in the design of our material is where we would typically have gone out and we've said to you guys, there's a great question in the question bank. When you get a chance, go and look at it. But we want to quickly just show you a couple of things. The beauty of the video is what we say to you, and me and Karabo just experienced it today, but we would say to you guys, just pause the video now, go and do this question, go and give it a read. And when you're ready, come back to the video and do it. And then you write that you've read that question and we take you through this thing line by line, like we did it today, and said, what trigger does this trigger for you? What do you see? What do you think? What do you hear from this? So especially for those of you that struggle with concentration, you can process the information in your space, your time, your thinking. It is brilliant. It is mind-blowing. I almost got tears in my eyes, but it's just, I think you guys are really going to enjoy it, and it's going to work. So Karabo, everything well said. I just wanted to add that.
Thanks, Ahmed. I think it's over to auditing now.
Yes, to the actual A team. You might say you're the OGs, but A is definitely for auditing, and I'm very lucky enough to be presenting auditing with a legend that is Prof. Ben Marks. Guys, we teach you that auditing is dynamic. We teach you that auditing is fun. We teach you that auditing is one of the subjects that you really, really, really can do well on if you apply yourself and you take an interest in it. So you couldn't ask for 2 better people to take you through this auditing journey. We want to remind you that auditing counts for a significant amount of marks in the ITC. We're not downplaying any of the other subjects, but there seems to be a misconception that auditing is only a very small part of the marks in the ITC. But we're seeing auditing really coming to the fore in the ITC. And remember that auditing is not just about the substantive procedures and the test of controls, but it includes things like governance. And as Armin and Prof. Ben have alluded to as well, ethics. So we cover ethics from an auditing perspective in terms of the auditing and accounting profession, but also from the broader perspective, how you need to be answering questions when they ask you an ethics question in the broader context of business and of society. So we take you through that aspect of auditing, of ethics in the auditing module, and we show you how that integrates with the other subjects as well. They'll obviously pick pick up on it in those areas, but we really cement the fundamental principles of that in auditing. We've got material that we've divided into themes for you. So, for example, when we look at governance, we'll be looking at Companies Act, we'll look at King, and we'll look at the ethics modules. So we've got a roadmap that we set out that shows you how we're going to work through the material with you. In response to that material, we've got recordings that you can go and have a look at, where we cover the theory from a very high level, because remember, after CTA, you're theory rich, you know what's going on in the theory. We remind you of the important principles in the theory. We give you the modules and their recordings, and then we've got questions that you can work through on each module in that. We've also got webinars, as with each subject. And what's really exciting for us is that we've got these integrated webinars where we can give you the integrated thinking that we've been speaking about. And the big focus for us when it comes to auditing, ladies and gentlemen, really is exam technique. The one thing that we see with students is they do the work. Ability to take the info they know and apply it to the scenario and question that gets asked is sometimes where students fall short. So we take you through a lot of practice at the required, we help you understand the required, we help you to understand how you need to be generating your within that required. And that it's not just a case of saying, oh, look, it's a 20-mark CPC question, I must write down 20 points. No, how do I break that up into the various, and how do I address each issue to get to the 20 marks instead of just write down 20 random points to try and make up your marks? So we really do focus heavily. So excited to be able to walk this journey with you. So Prof. Ben, I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to add to this discussion before we hand over to Michelle and Munir.
Thanks, Vanessa. Maybe just something from our side. Guys, auditing is nice. Auditing is exciting. You're going to enjoy it. It's really, yeah, you're going to do, and you're going to do really well in the ITC. Like Vanessa says, exam technique is very important where we take those principles and convert it into marks for you. But then just to all of you, so Vanessa spoke about auditing, but I think you can see that we are having fun as I mean, we're going to hand over now to the C team. I don't know if it's tax or financial management, but they will get back. But guys out there, we enjoy what we do, and I think you're going to enjoy doing it with us. So thanks for that, Vanessa. Back to you, Dewald.
I just have to quickly say, I think Prof. Ben is opening a can of worms here. Let's not go to the year with that, Prof.
For sure. But anyway, over to the tax team. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dewald. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm definitely not going to get dragged into this debate of A team, B team, or C team. It's like that saying that you know what you know, so I don't need to say anything. No, but just from a tax perspective, I'm just going to speak briefly to you guys about the strategy that we follow. And my starting point that I just want to share with you guys is, do you study tax differently than your other subjects? And if you're saying to me, no, I'm studying tax exactly the same like my other subjects, I'm doing questions, because it's all principle based, then there might be a problem. And that might be the reason why you're battling with tax, because unfortunately, tax is a rule-driven subject. Whether we like it or not, tax is rule-driven. And if you do not know your rules, you might struggle a lot. Now, Munir is definitely going to explain to you a little bit more and talk about, because we've got a lot of rules, it's still based on a lot of principles. So if you can cover the principles, which we obviously will also cover in our lectures and our videos with you guys, there's so many principles that will set a foundation for you. But the sad reality is, if you do not know your rules for tax, it's going to be an upward battle. But that's the good news, because there is a recipe, and whether you like tax or not, whether you've got a feel for it or not, if you follow the recipe, you will see the results. And very often people like Vanessa raise the point on the number of marks. And I know some candidates say, yeah, but the number of tax marks in the ITC is not a lot compared to the other subjects. But the point is, you can score extremely high marks for tax. And that's what we focus on. So the better marks you get for tax, the easier it is to pass all 4 subjects. So I actually want to take you down quickly to memory lane a little bit. I don't know whether you guys can see this page if I show you this. On this side, can you see A with a little bit M times A and N? I wonder whether it brings
looks
back
like
memory.
maths. Yeah, algebra.
Exactly. It's algebra, and I was just because I'm studying together with my son, and I have all these formulas for algebra that I wrote down for him, and I realized that like there's only a handful of rules, and that's why for maths you could do just questions. Now I know that you guys said you probably wonder like why was maths a requirement in order to become a CA? Accounting wasn't a requirement, but maths was a requirement. Why? You'll never look at sin, cos, or tan probably ever in your life again. But what maths taught you was logical thinking, explaining things, understanding logical sequences, and problem solving. So, and that was the importance of maths. And that you can pull through to tax. There are very certain principles, but unfortunately, it's still rule driven. And unfortunately, we've got an entire, not just 10 rules, we've got an entire act of rules. And that's why our approach is perhaps different than others, but I promise you the recipe works. And just to put you guys at ease, in the file, what you can expect, in our files, we basically give you a summary of all the rules. Okay, so you can use that to make sure that all your bases are covered. So in the files, we can be covering that. In our lecture videos, including the webinars, which Mania will be talking about just now, in our file, in our lectures, we're going to be focusing quite a lot on exam technique and also placing a lot of emphasis on something that students are battling with for tax, and that's discussion questions, because we know it's an open secret that Cycle wants to ask discussion questions for tax because they want to see, do you understand what you're doing? They don't want you to just be able to do a calculation. They want you to be able to explain it to somebody. So when we're going to do so our file has got the theory, summary of the rules. Our videos and lectures will be taking you through the exam technique, how to deal with discussion questions, and that will obviously be supplemented by the webinars, which Mania is going to be talking about just now. And then just lastly, for the people that want to say, I just want to do questions. Yes, in our files, you'll find plenty of questions. There's probably, I don't think even you're going to have time to work through all of that, but for people that wants the questions, we've got probably the last 10 years board questions and more. It's all updated, all covered with the latest amendments, the latest exam rule pronouncements. So all in all, it's definitely covering everything that you need to know. And just as a last comfort, normally for people that's repeaters, please be rest assured that we definitely cover all the amendments as well as all the changes to the exam rule pronouncements. It will be covered both by our lecture as well as our lecturing material in the file. All right, and that's it from my side. Mania, please, if you can elaborate on the principles to wrap up on the strategy, and then he's going to take you through the webinar, what we've got in mind. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Michelle. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to the Gauteng board course from my side as well. Warm welcome. Broadly, I think I fully buy, and we buy into the philosophy and the tax philosophy of the fact that you just need to know the rules and learn it off by heart. But what you're going to find is that you're going to actually struggle to actually cram it in. What you rather want to actually do is do what we call reflective learning, and that is to actually understand the reason behind why those sections are in that legislation in the first place. So I just want to take one small example, and it's a simple example I think we can all identify with. If we broadly think and we go to the VAT system itself, and we just think about exam supplies. Exam supplies is something that we actually just want to exclude from the VAT system in totality. So we basically want a null VAT effect on an exam supply. No ever input with an exam supply, no ever output on an exam supply. That's the principle or the philosophy behind why we even have an exam supply. Now, let's just think about the big exam supplies. It's things like your financial services, your letting of residential accommodation, educational services, not the educational services we do, ours is a variable supply, but the ones that obviously the state actually give, and then also transportation of goods and services. Now, broadly, if you sit and think about it, why are those then exempt? Why are those sitting in the exempt supply pot itself? And the policy reasoning for that is principally because if you think about it carefully, those are technically your constitutional rights that is embedded in the Constitution itself. The right to a home, the right to transportation, the right to freedom to lend money, to borrow money, the freedom of education. We had the big uproar a couple of years where people were fighting for free education at university levels itself. So if we broadly think about it, in that fashion, once you've reflected on it and once you've actually understood why the legislation is there, if you just navigate through the reflective thinking of it, you will come to the same conclusion that the Act has come to. And that is why we have those broad principles basically excluded. And also to just build on that, if you said, the one issue that I always grapple with is that why is medical aid not an exempt supply? And principally the reason for that is that to a large extent, we see that in South Africa, medical aid is actually largely privatized. And you're all aware at the moment that we have a white paper discussion paper on medical and the NHI itself. And that's the reason fundamentally why we're saying that medical cover needs to go back into the government space, because the private sector in South Africa has actually overtaken government in a space where they're supposed to be leading. So if you just think about from a policy point of view, and what I want you to do is that when you're going through the sections itself, make logical sense of it, like this here, like the simple example that we just took. If you do that, I promise you, you will learn for life. It's there embedded. That's what we call deep lifelong learning. It's cemented into your learning for forever and ever. Yes, you've got to act with you and you can always flip it open and you've got it highlighted there. But believe you me, you'll come to the same conclusion 99% of the time that what the Act is actually telling you. Sometimes the Act actually gets out of hand, and that's generally when we deal with anti-avoidance, then all hell breaks loose. And sometimes what happens is it loses a little bit of logic, because what happens is SARS casts a net so wide that it actually even catches transactions that it's not supposed to. But for most of the time, it's actually very logical. Then I just want to talk to you about what we want to do in the webinars itself. We've got two objectives there. The first that we want to do is we want it two-way. We want you to actually, we want to solicit questions from you. There's always a text question. Even when we're on panel discussions, you'll see in the integrated sessions, our colleagues start asking questions from the panel itself on text itself. So there's always a text question. There's a burning question itself that you've got on your side. And we want to actually solicit those questions beforehand. We'll deal with them in a live interactive session. But also what we want to do is what Prof. Ahmed spoke about a little bit about, is that the integration within the tax discipline itself. We all know that one transaction has many tax consequences, and we also want to start working through some of the questions in the file and actually open up your thinking in that regard, and make sure you polish on that so that when something comes up of that nature, you polish on that and you bag in the questions itself. Then I also just want to say, we also run a September course. So if you must actually pass the ITC, the April ITC, but if you don't make it, or for the UNISA students, if there are marks coming out later and you're not going to catch this in time for the April board course, we do also have a second board course, which is going to catch you, and that's going to basically take you through the September exam. We know that normally we had the Jan and June, that exams are now being postponed. And now we basically have an April and we have a September exam. So we most certainly will be running a September ITC course as well. And that will be a Gauteng board course as well. And in addition to that, we'll also probably be running a Tutuka program as well. Okay, I think with that, that's enough from tax. And we then over to the last part, which is the finance team.
Thanks so much to the tax team, and we saved the best for last. So our subject, managerial accounting and finance, we last today. As I was introduced, my name is Nov Introduction, and I present this course together with Dewald Joubert. And one or two concepts that came up a lot in the discussion so far is colleagues were speaking about integrated thinking, and they were talking about critical thinking. And you would have picked up that in all our subjects, and also where we integrate the subjects in our 5 live integrated webinars, it's our goal to help you to refine those thinking skills. And how I would really describe that is, or to summarize that, is to say that's how a CA should think. As a CA, you must be able to think in an integrated way and in a critical way. And that's what we're going to do in our board course across all 4 subjects, and also in our subject managerial, accounting and finance. And as it was explained to you already, we are going to have about 7 hours of lectures that will be pre-recorded and that you can watch online. You can pause, you can rewind, you can watch it again. So that's really a big advantage of doing an online course, because if you sit in a class and you listen to a lecture, you can imagine, if you sit in a 3-hour lecture, at some point, there's just some information that goes above your head. But in an online course, you can pause, you can reflect, you can go back and look at the material. And I think that's a big advantage. So our subject is principle-based, and Michelle was speaking about tax being very much rule-based. And in our subject, we are very principle-based. And that's why also we will have principally-based lectures. And we really aim to help you to understand the principles. We will give you guidance also on what to focus on. So everything that we do is mapped to the psychocompetency framework. And you also see in some points also we will refer to the psychocompetency framework. And everything that's in the competency framework is important. So we're not going to spot, we're not going to tell you to leave anything out that is in the competency framework, but you'll pick up that in some areas, some universities do extra in their CTA curriculum, which is not necessarily in the psychocompetency framework. So I think there we will also give you some guidance and assistance. We will help you with your exam technique, how to maximize marks, and we'll help you with the critical thinking, and we'll have problem-based teaching by doing so. And then just to talk about those 3 webinars that we will have, and I'm very excited about these webinars because they are all going to be interactive. So interactive means we want you to participate in these webinars. Again, when you sit in a lecture with 500 other students, how interactive can such a class really be? There is a bit of interaction, and when the lecturer asks, are there any questions? Maybe 5 brave students will raise their hands and ask a question. But in these interactive webinars that we're going to have, we are going to ask you to give input, each of you. And you saw how we had a poll. We already had 2 poll questions today. It's a lot of fun to participate in those poll questions and to kind of, test your knowledge in the process. So in our subjects, one of our webinars will be a series of poll questions where we test principles in every topic. So it's also going to highlight to you where you still need to go and polish up on your knowledge and your work. And what we'll do is we'll have a poll question, you'll vote on it, we'll release the results, and then for 5 minutes, either Dewald or me will talk about that topic and just highlight to you what the correct answer is and why. We're also going to have a strategy case study. The topic of strategy and risk management, but especially strategy, is such an important topic in our subject. It comes up in almost every ITC question, that there's a question on strategy or a section on strategy. So we're going to have one webinar where we are going to work through one question in detail, and we're going to ask for your input. As we work through the question, you're going to have an opportunity to add your comments. And then our third not integrated, but our third live math interactive webinar will be where we look at the ITC requirements of the past few years. So we've gone and looked at the ITC of the past 3 years or so, and we've made a summary of the requirements in our subject. And we're going to discuss on each of them how you should approach, how do you maximize marks so that you can pass the ITC. So guys, thanks for joining today. And it was It was good to see you all. I look forward to see you in the live webinars, and I look forward for you to watch our videos where you also see my face and hear my voice. Enjoy the break. It's very important that you rest in December if you have the opportunity to rest. If you're still studying for a January exam maybe, then all the best with that. We hope that you will pass and that you'll be able to join us. Over to you, Dewald, if you maybe still want to add something on math or wrap up.
No, thank you so much, Jelfin. I think we'll also just open the floor if somebody wants to ask a question, but I just want to conclude and say that, you know, we've been very blessed on this course over the years where we've achieved over 60% market share for many, many years. And I think it's just important that you speak to people who've done different board courses before, and it's important to choose an option that speaks to you. There are different people out there. We all learn differently. We are all different. But if this speaks to you, then seriously consider joining us. What I can assure you of is that we've got a set of passionate lecturers that's going to guide you through this process. And if that speaks to you, then please join us. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We'll also answer the questions on the Q&A session. Nikita, I wonder if you just want to answer. There was a question for you earlier. I'm not sure if you've answered that to the specific candidate. Did you or not?
Yeah, Dewald.
Okay, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, no, cool. So that one was answered. So just a quick question quickly from my side that somebody asked, will I be able to register for the ITC even if I'm not signed by a firm? And the answer is definitely yes. Remember, for the ITC, you only need to pass CTA. So it's not a practical experience similar to the APC. So that will not be a problem at all. So that one was answered. Let's quickly just check. What will the time of the webinars be? So I'm just killing a few admin ones. The time will be at 5. So what we've done is we've spoken to majority of the firms, and they are all happy with 5 o'clock. So that they give you off at that time. We were pushing for 4, but they were pushing back. But we were just saying is that we don't want it in the evening. So the idea is that we keep you busy for an hour. Some would be an hour and a half, and then you can continue, go and eat and still prepare a little bit after that, etc. So we've made the call that we think it's a decent time. Somebody asked, can the registration be cancelled? Yes, it can. So if you've registered, you can cancel. There's no cost implication if we haven't sent you a file. So there's no cost implications there. Then if you're not signed, what we then typically do with a cost point of view is you need to pay at least a deposit, and then we register you and we go through it. As soon as you are signed, we then speak to the firm, and if they pay for that, of course, you are then reimbursed for that payment. Okay. Then also we will, apologies. Yes, Michelle.
Oh, no, just sorry, but I wasn't sure whether you finished, because there were a couple of questions coming from UNISA students. If you don't mind, then I'll just quickly like to respond to that. Because
please, Michelle.
Numerous students asked, is the course suitable for UNISA students? And I think the word is absolutely. Like myself, have been involved in this course for more than 20 years. And if you just look at the feedback that we always had on the course, it's one of the things that UNISA candidates specifically mention, is that our course caters for them as well. And it's not only specific linked to specific students, for specific universities. So definitely, without a doubt, we are definitely catering for UNISA students. And in fact, the feedback and the benefit that we've been providing for UNISA students, we've got all the proof if you need those compliments, and it's all in the, what's the surveys, when we perform a survey, when they give us feedback. So rest assured, we definitely cater for you guys as well. Sorry, Dewald.
Now I'm struggling to unmute myself. No, thanks for that, Michelle. So I don't know if there's any other questions. If there's any other questions, I'm going to quickly go over to that people can raise their hands. So if there's anyone that wants to ask a question, they can just raise their hand and we will unmute them and they can ask then a question. We must have somebody that raised their hand and ask us a question. We must at least have one live question. Please, anyone.
We must, Dewald. And what we normally do is if we don't, we'll look down the list and find people that we know. And Norman Karabo is normally quite good at that.
Okay, there we've got somebody.
There's a hand.
There's a hand. So Randy, thank you so much. I've asked, you can unmute yourself and then you can continue to ask your question. So Randy, it's a little bit soft on our side. See if you can speak up a little bit. No, Murphy's Law. Randy, unfortunately, I think something with your microphone is a little bit soft. We struggle to hear you. So I don't know if you can try again, but we've got a...
Maybe Randy can just type it if you can't come through. Then
yes, yeah, Randy, then you can maybe just type. Any other person that wants to raise their hand? Apologies, Randy, we couldn't hear you. Anyone else?
And if it's the same, Randy, I think at one stage you mentioned when Ahmed had the slide up about the iPhone 11, he said, IFRS 15, laugh out loud. So well spotted, Randy, but I think our point is that we're going to speak about much more than just IFRS 15. We're going to be talking about the integrated and how it fits into accounting, financing, and that's what we're here for. But well spotted, it was definitely IFRS 15. So you were spot on, but we're going to do more than that.
And Dewald,
I see a few hands coming up quickly and then it stops again, but over to you, Vanessa. But please, I'm watching the hand, so please raise your hand if you want to ask a question. Over to you, Vanessa.
I also just wanted to tag on to what Michelle said. I see we had a question come through about whether this program is suitable for UCT students. Ladies and gentlemen, it's suitable for a student that comes from any university. We are not catering just to one type of student. We're about diversity and inclusivity, and we're here to help you prepare for the ITC, regardless of where you obtained your CTA from. So we don't make a distinction on that. You're part of the board course family, and we do our best to be able to cater to your needs on that basis. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Vanessa. And then there we've got a hand. So Mpele Singh, I'm going to allow you to speak, and then you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Okay. I just quickly wanted to ask, in one of your presentation on your strategy, you mentioned that you have a mock exam that is planned in place. So I wanted to ask, how will that mock exam go about? Are we going to write it online, or it's going to be a physical mock exam? Thank you.
Right, thank you for the question. So I think most likely it will be, unfortunately, that you need to write that at home. And then what we'll do is we'll have feedback sessions on those. So just on that, but let's see what time does. But typically we are scared to have contact sessions very close to the ITC at this stage. And I mean, the pandemic will give us more information as we move on. But we are a little bit, and that was part of the reason we ultimately decided to go online, is that you don't want to get COVID just before you write the ITC, and then you miss, unfortunately, the opportunity to do that. But I think, you know, if there's something where you can write in a smaller group at a firms can assist arranging certain things maybe, but most likely we will not go the physical route, just due to that we don't want to group people together so close to the ITC. So unfortunate, that is a bit of a reality of COVID. Over to you, Prof. Ben.
Maybe if I can just come in here as well, and everybody must just come in here, but we've seen it. The ITC was written in November now, just the 17th and the 18th of November. And the APC is coming up on the 17th of December. And We've seen that and we've learned from lessons from that. And we are also very fortunate that one of our colleagues are involved in SAICA, who's the head invigilator for SAICA. And we learn from that. And you mustn't go and live your life, be totally responsible. Now, when you go away, be responsible, do the social distancing, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your loved ones. Do what is right, and you know what is right. Wear your mask, do that. The pandemic is serious. The virus is serious. It's not gone. But go and live your life as well. Don't be scared every day for breathing. Live your life. What I'm saying is protect yourself and do what is right, but then keep yourself safe. Now, we will monitor as we go on, etc. But if you are tested positive, you cannot write the ITC. That's the reality that we've learned and that SAICA has communicated with us and that we've applied for. So the ITC in April is 3.5 months away. If there's a vaccine tomorrow and everything, which is highly unlikely, then we will advise you to go and write and try and practice. But what we've seen with our students, and Munir and Ahmed, Karabi, you can come in here as well, is with our students who wrote it in November ITC, we did exactly what Dewald said. We said, please write the exams and the exam conditions sitting at home. Replicate it at home. Put a mask on that you're suffocating, and you will gonna sound funny now, but you know, you're gonna sit for, when you're passing the ITC, we're not talking about writing the ITC. You're gonna you're gonna stand in a queue for long to go through the protocols with your mask on. You're gonna sit for 3 hours and write with your mask on. You're gonna take a break for 2 hours with your mask on, you're gonna come back. But to replicate that, we will guide you very much along the way, giving you all the guidance, but we will urge you to do that. But maybe if like Dewald is saying, if it's possible and it's safe, then go and find a venue and we can work with that. But the main thing is to keep you safe so you can write the ITC. But we will take it as it comes along, but we will share those experiences with you. Dewald, I don't know if you just want to add to that, but we've been dealing with this now lately.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that, Prof. Ben. I think what is just important at the end, you know, life goes on and we need, it's a new normal, but we need to be responsible because, you know, the ITC is a big exam. It's a big thing in your life. So we don't want to do things that could put that specifically at risk. One thing I just want to quickly add that I was just thinking about is just, you know, the importance with the time period until you write being longer, but remember you're now going to work as well. So being disciplined and working consistently and getting that balance right is very, very important. And that's why we said that it's important for us to have that webinars where we meet with you every week. We've got the integrated webinars, but per subject. So there's going to be on average 2 webinars a week, which is active. And in those, we're going to touch base. Where are you? How are you doing, etc. Because that checking in is extremely important in the online environment, that you don't, you know, we don't issue you with a bunch of videos and say, go off. There's the file, there's the videos. It is a program that is carefully planned week by week and checking in, and we're going through this together. So I think it's important in the online environment. There's no other way of doing it. So we're looking forward to share the journey with you. I don't know if there are anything else, if somebody wants to add.
Yeah, sorry, I've pushed the wrong button, so my IT skills let me down here on a Friday afternoon or Monday afternoon. But there was a question from Mabatu that said, will the ITC exam be venue-based? And I think by accident, sorry, Mabatu, I pressed the wrong button. And then he said, thank you very much. That, by the way, I must read this for everyone to see this post. The lecturers are the best. Thank you very much for that compliment. But the venue, the exam will be venue based. Maybe I can throw it back at you, Ahmed, Dewald, Karab. It will be venue based. I think SAICA has been adamant on that. So I don't know, Karab, Ahmed, Dewald, if one of you just want to take that one.
Yeah, I think I can come in. I mean, guys, it will be venue based, and that means that you need to practice as well. And you'll see that we'll speak about this over and over and over that create a safe, conducive environment where you can practice questions, where you can sit on flat bottoms, that you can do that you get handwriting practice. It's quite a long time from now, so you want to, when you come back, like Devo said, you're going to take a good break, but when you come back, you're going to do physical questions and you're going to do them. And on the masks, I mean, just in case I forget, and this is a tip for all candidates. I mean, I think all the guys are going to do our program, but Ben spoke about taking a mask along, but you must take 2 masks along. Just like you're taking 2 calculators, take 2 masks along. Because I've seen Prof. Ben's mask fall underneath the car, and I think he drove over one of them. And I think, imagine what happens on the day there. You coming out of your car and your mask falls down on the floor and you drive over it. And then you're like, okay, now are they going to let me into the exam? Are they going to stress me out? You don't want to worry about those things. And that's the practical things I think we kind of look at as well. Like, you don't want to worry about the mask. Some of you are probably thinking, like, if I wear a mask, my like Deerwold wearing a mask, everything is gonna fog up there. Then get a shield maybe and have a mask and a shield. And then I saw Vanessa the other day have a really cool shield. She's got one that goes over the nose. So have a shield and a mask, and then you interchange between the two, so that you deal with that. I think ultimately, and that's the thing here, you guys are problem solvers. You guys are aspiring chartered accountants. Think creatively, solve the problem. That's what we want. Our country needs problem solvers. We need you. We need, so wherever you see a problem, don't think of the problem, think of the solution. Come up with a solution, and with that positivity, it's all going to go really well.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Apologies. Let's quickly take another. It feels like I've got a radio station. We've got another caller on the line. So Tsepu, you can unmute yourself and then speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, I wanted to ask, so hypothetically you get COVID before the ITC, could maybe arrangements be made for you to write separately, or does it mean you have to wait for the September ITC?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, there will be no arrangements made as far as I know. So that's what we got from the APC. So the others can just confirm. So unfortunately not. So I think it's the point we want to make, call it especially the 3-4 weeks before the ITC. I mean, life goes on, but one needs to be extra vigilant and extra careful. Similarly to what lots of us would apply before we visit older people or people with comorbidities. I quarantine myself for 10 days before I visit my folks, stuff like that. So I think one just needs to be a little bit more, vigilant before the ITC. Thanks for your question. Then we've got another hand, Chantal. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
So I had sent a question on the question and answer section, but it was answered. So I just want to ask, is it possible for you guys, because some of us, I personally struggle with learning online. So sometimes I need to be with the person and they explain. So I just wanted to know if that would be possible, maybe a place where we could have physical consultations, but I think you did answer it and said that it'll just be online.
Yeah, so I think thank you for that question. So what we definitely do is, we've got the online system where people ask questions. So it's a questions block. So that's typically, where does this question from or this amount come from, or I struggle with this. So those are your shorter type of questions. But if you want to speak to guidance or additional help, then you can make an appointment with the presenters. But that would be one-on-one, but that would be most likely, there's still uncertainty at this stage. So it's maybe just my opinion, but I think it will still be highly unlikely. So it will be with Zoom or Teams or something like that we'll have that discussion. It can even be on WhatsApp, a WhatsApp call or whatever works the best for that specific candidate. So we do definitely do one-on-one, but physically, I think most likely will not be a possibility given go. But thanks for that question. Then Nombuso, you can let me quickly, yes, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, Deval. Thank you very much. My question is, if I had done my CTA and I completed it earlier in this year, but I opted not to write ITC for personal reasons, what is the earliest that I can receive my notes to be able to start with preparing for ITC if I've already passed my CTA and everything is in order?
Yes, yeah. So if you've passed your CTA and everything is in order, the material is actually already available. The only problem with that is just that the MyPal and the videos will only be made available from the 11th of Jan. But if you want to work through the material so long, have a look at those, just get familiar with those, and then you can ask us a little bit for some guidance, then you're more than welcome to do that. So, but the main reason is we want students after this year, but you're a different example, but we want students to take off December and focus on starting with this in Jan. So I think it's also important not to burn oneself out. You know, one cannot study flat out from now until April. So, but you can speak to us, you can send me a mail and we can arrange something that you get your material earlier.
Okay, thank you.
There's a nice Q&A in there for me. I must say this one here. So it's from Mabatu. Hey, Prof. Ahmed, we no longer aspiring CAs. We are CAs at heart. During the webinar, it was mentioned we need to see ourselves as a CA, and we shall achieve that goal. Amazing session. Thank you. Mabata, we salute you. That's the positivity. On the 14th and 15th of April, you are passing the ITC. Well done, sir. Well done, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much for that feedback. I think if everyone agrees, I think we can end the session. But just from our side, thank you so much for joining the session. And we're looking forward to this journey towards assisting you and guiding you until April. And I think the important thing is just remember the purpose ultimately of a board course is to be the guide on your side. So you've done the CTA and some of your waiting results, but you've done that, you've got the knowledge, but we're just going to guide you through this last steps to make sure you are tip-top and that you get this thing out of the way because you deserve that. You owe that to yourself to get this out of the way now. And that's why we're here to assist you with that. So thank you so much to all my colleagues joining us. It's a privilege coordinating a course where there's such amazing people. It's an easy job. So thank you very much for that. And then to everyone joining, we'll make this video available online as well. So all the best. Keep well. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.